The world of Doctor Who is a funny old thing, even when you're not remotely invested in the current era. When the magic's gone, the writing feels like it was done on a napkin during a diversity seminar. And the characters have all the depth of a puddle on Skaro. Somehow you still end up with a theory. Not because the show inspires thought, but because the inconsistencies are so gaping, they practically demand explanation. And even if your theory turns out to be total nonsense, you can still laugh. Laugh at how far the show has fallen, how hard it tries to look clever while being about as subtle as a Cyberman in a tutu, and how even being wrong is more satisfying than the actual episode you just endured. And do I care if I'm wrong? No forking way. At this point, the theory is more fun than the fiction. Welcome to the Snake Pit, where we're full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Snake Daemon, and today I'm taking a look at the curious chaos that is modern Doctor Who and the strange theory it's led me to. We know from past experience that Russell T Davies loves tying threads together across time. He's the one who planted Bad Wolf in episodes across the first season, only to pull it all together in the finale. And even then, its roots were visible much earlier if you were paying attention, so let's roll with that approach. What if what we're watching now isn't just a disconnected mess, but a callback? One that loops all the way from Flux through the 60th anniversary and into this new pantheon of weirdness. Think about it. Flux destroyed the universe, or at least it was meant to, but nothing came of it. There was no real resolution. The Doctor just sort of moved on. So how is the Doctor still traveling around if the universe is gone? Either it was quietly rebooted off-screen, which is lazy, or someone stepped in and remade reality in a way that serves their own design. And who do we know that has the power, the flair, and the sheer theatrical ego to pull off something like that? The Celestial Toymaker. Once the Toymaker's been reintroduced, other figures begin to fall into place. Maestro, a being of chaos and musical manipulation, clearly draws from that same mold. Then you have Sutekh, who we were told is the god of all gods, more like the sulk of all sulks, but that's a separate rant. Then Lux, a mysterious being playing with genre and medium. The Trickster, whose whole gimmick is rewriting reality. All of them are powerful reality-bending forces, not monsters, not aliens, godlike beings. So what if these aren't just one-off baddies? What if they're part of a bigger structure, a pantheon, each playing a specific role in a game that only they understand, and maybe only one being is pulling all the strings from above? Or worse, a trinity. Maybe they're each trying to keep themselves relevant, feeding off the narrative, feeding off us. Maestro dies from musical dissonance. Lux uses cartoons to trap and control. Even the Doctor himself breaks the fourth wall in the Devil's Chord. That's not a stylistic quirk, that's a clue. The entire season is performative, not just to us, but within the story. The characters know they're in a show. They're breaking the fourth wall because that wall doesn't exist anymore. And that could mean the Toymaker's world never ended. It just expanded. Let's get into Mrs. Flood, not too deep, because frankly she's not worth over-theorizing about in the usual is she the Rani way. She's not Riversong either. She's something more abstract, Harbinger, and her name is not subtle. In biblical lore, a flood is a divine reset, a cataclysm that wipes away the old and makes way for the new. She's been seen warning of the end, grinning with premonition, speaking directly to the audience. She knows what the TARDIS is. She knows who the Doctor is. She knows what's coming. So if the Toymaker and his ilk are gods playing their little games, then Mrs. Flood is the one holding the stopwatch. Maybe she isn't part of the pantheon. Maybe she's outside it, an observer, a narrator, a monitor. And when this world of fiction ends, she'll be there to reset the board or close the book. Now let's look at the actual structure of these new episodes. This season hasn't just dabbled in new genres, it's practically drowning in them. We had The Devil's Chord, which was a surreal fourth-wall-breaking musical odyssey, Boom tried a minimalist psychological angle. Dot and Bubble played like a dystopian cartoon from TikTok. 73 Yards was practically a Welsh folk horror, and Rogue went full Bridgerton LARPing with shapeshifters. The tonal whiplash is insane until you stop and think. What if each episode is a vignette, a performance? Season 2 continues this trend of genre experimentation. The robot revolution opens with a retro-futurist AI uprising, blending social commentary with classic sci-fi aesthetics. Lux dives into a live-action animation hybrid set in 1950s Miami, featuring a Hanna-Barbera-inspired villain named Mr. Ring-a-Ding who traps people within film reels. The Well attempts a spiritual sequel to the acclaimed 2008 episode Midnight, featuring the return of the terrifying radiation-soaked entity. The episodes left to come, well, let's see. Lucky Day centers on former companion Ruby Sunday, exploring her PTSD and featuring inventive storytelling that integrates the Doctor in creative ways. The story and the engine delves into metafictional territory, examining the nature of storytelling itself. The Interstellar Song Contest is a cosmic Eurovision parody, complete with flamboyant performances and intergalactic politics. The season concludes with a two-part finale, Wish World and the Reality War, promising to tie together the season's overarching themes and mysteries. Each episode feels like a distinct performance, not just in genre, but in narrative structure and thematic exploration. The characters often seem aware of their roles within a story, breaking the fourth wall or engaging in self-referential commentary. This performative aspect suggests a deeper narrative at play, where the boundaries between fiction and reality are blurred, and the characters are participants in a grander, possibly divine theatrical production. If the Toymaker or some greater force has rewritten reality into a fictional construct, then the Doctor is just a character in that show, a part being played until he figures out the rules and who's directing this performance. That would explain why companions are forgettable and ineffective, why villains are abstract gods with theatrical gimmicks, why nothing really matters because nothing can, not if everything's already scripted. Even the changes to history, Mavity instead of gravity, Isaac Newton rewritten, hint that this is a manufactured reality, a land of fiction where events only unfold because the script says they should. And let's not forget that Mel was originally meant to be travelling with Glitz after Dragonfire. That got rewritten too. Everyone's story gets a rewrite to better fit the performance. Even Sutek's interest in Ruby might be a red herring. A plot point required by the script, not genuine curiosity. Everyone is just a character trying to stay relevant lest they fade into nothingness. Then we get to the Celestial Toymaker, the one who arguably set all this in motion, but here's the trick, he's not even here. Defeated during the 60th, the Toymaker has become an absentee director, still holding the script but no longer controlling the cast. And what's worse, his production is still running. The Doctor is still trapped on the stage, but the director's chair is empty. So what happens? The remaining actors, godlike beings like Sutek, Maestro, Lux, continue stumbling through their roles, improvising, overacting, repeating their lines like broken animatronics, all because the original purpose is long forgotten. But the show must go on, even if the director is gone and the plot has fallen apart. But what's it all for? One purpose, to entertain. The Gods of Ragnarok, the true cosmic audience. We've seen them before, lurking in shadow, demanding spectacle. They don't create or destroy. They watch. They crave drama, chaos, and performance. This whole season, just another act in an endless performance designed to entertain those ancient gods. Sutek posturing, Maestro singing, Lux pouting about time. All of it choreographed madness meant to hold the attention of beings who view reality as one long episode of cosmic theatre. The Doctor isn't saving anyone because there's no one to save. They're all just characters in a land of fiction. Even reality itself has bent to serve the show, with nonsensical changes like Mavity and distorted historical figures like Newton shoehorned in for cheap laughs and ironic nods. A stage, a forgotten script, a cast of unwitting gods still dancing for an audience that might have stopped watching long ago. And Mrs. Flood? She's just walking the aisles, reminding us the curtains are starting to close. Because the final performance is coming, and it won't be a rescue, it won't be a revelation, it will be the end of the land of fiction. The Doctor, aware, awake, will face that final performance. And when it's over, a flood will wash away this hollow, twisted universe and reset everything. Because sometimes, when a story gets too convoluted, too ridiculous, and too far up its own arse, the only way to fix it is to end it. So that's where we are. Not a new era, not a bold reinvention, but a box of toys shaken by divine children who think we'll be too dazzled by the glitter to notice the glue peeling at the seams. Doctor Who hasn't become a show again. It's become a show within a show, chewing its own continuity like cud while we try to make sense of it all. Why do I think this? Because this has happened before. Once before the Gods of Ragnarok ushered in the end, giving just 1 year, when the figure hit 3 million, and it'll be a timely return if I'm right. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the gods are laughing right now. But if you're going to turn Doctor Who into a pantomime, at least let the Doctor throw a pie at someone's face. Thanks for dropping by the Snake Pit, where we thrive on untapped potential and lost opportunities. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, like the video, and leave your opinions in the comments, where, naturally, I won't read them. Until next time, stay venomous.